Hi, Darla Olson, Stampin' Up demonstrator here, running a little late. Eric's been steadily or faithfully kind of working in the basement down there, trying to get a stamp room put together for me. And so he had some questions. And so I was down there, we're talking about all that stuff. Let me see here. I better get on my microphone. He's doing some pounding down there. I don't know how loud that is for you guys. Hi, Jane. Can you hear me? Hi, Joy. Can you hear me? Okay. I better turn my sound off. Today my tablet is working. There we go. All right. Well, I got a couple of you here with me, and so I'm trying. Okay, thanks. Great, Joy. Hi. I have my kitchen light behind me turned off this time because it was glaring so much last time. So hopefully, hi Melissa. Nice to have you here. So I'm going to go ahead and flip my phone so we can see the card, and then we will start stamping. So let me get my camera flipped here. If I can. There we go. So hopefully now we can see everything there. But this is the card. And this is the rainbow that I created with the sequins. So and so we're using the Party Pandas. This stamp set became #1 in top seller as far as celebration. And it's just adorably cute, and I've had a lot of fun playing with it. And then the stamp set, the other stamp set that I put together with it is this Weather Together. I've had this one for a while. Gonna see what this is all about, Melissa. Well, it's addictive, Melissa, so be careful. So what I have to do the rainbow, I use the circle dies, the layering circles. So I used the big one from this section and kind of the small one from this section, and they're just as a guide. So you could use anything, any kind of a circle that kind of for a guide. So it doesn't necessarily have to be that. That's just what I used. So then I have, and I pre-cut a lot of this because, otherwise it'll take a long time for the Facebook Live. But I used, get everything out of my bag here. I have Bermuda Bay is the background, the card base color. And then I have Whisper White, and then I pre-stamped and cut the panda out. Now he's just fussy cut with the scissors. So he's just cut out with scissors rather than a die. And then the umbrella I cut out of actually Whisper White and background paper just to give it some sturdiness. And then the handle I cut out of the silver foil, and then I cut out a little bit of black down here, and then I have a couple of clouds. So the clouds are from the Weather Together, and so you can see here I used the clouds. I used the handle to the umbrella, and then I used this umbrella here so it would kind of have some little lines right here. So So I think that's the only dies that I used from Weather Together. And then I used, for stamps, I used the Sentiment, the Wishing You Brighter Days, and I used the little raindrops. So those are the two stamps that I used from the set, and I used mostly dies. And on the cloud, a person could use these stamps to, you know, for the clouds. You could stamp them and cut them out, but I don't know, I wanted it to look a little different, so I didn't do that, and I'll show you what I did. So, but I'll move this out of the way and get this over here. And now one of the things that I do is I build the umbrella first, because most of that is glued and we want to have time for it to dry. So I'm just, when I cut this out of the black, there's just a little bit there that I don't want on the handle, and I'm going to snip that off. And then I'm just using the Tombow liquid multi-glue and going to just put some glue on that. And put that down here over this part here so that that's black. And then I'll just set that there for a second. Just trying to make sure I have that kind of lined up there. And let that dry, and while that's doing that, I'm going to... Now a person could glue the background paper to the Whisper White prior to cutting out the umbrella, but I didn't do that. I think mostly because it was an afterthought, and then when I finished doing it, I just did it all the same because I already had some umbrellas cut out of there. But it might be easier to do it beforehand, especially if you're going to cut out a bunch of them. So there we have that. And then what we'll do is we will take and put a bead of glue along the... Hi, Ann. Hi, Nancy. Glad you guys joined us. Put a bead of glue down here for the umbrella. Oops. To sit on there. And I got a little bit of glue on my fingers, so it keeps sticking. All right, so we'll get this up. Oh, you know what? I'm going to put a little bit more up here in this spot here, because I actually did cover that up. There we go. With the okay, so I'm going to set that aside to dry. So we have our umbrella put together, and then we'll just let that dry for a little bit while we work on the rest of it. So again, for those of you that maybe came a little late, here is the card that we're creating tonight. And certain steps work better to do them in a certain order. So we did we got the umbrella put together. We have our panda fussy cut out, so we're going to set him aside a little bit. So the next step is actually going to be to put our little puddle of water down here at the bottom. And one of the things, oh, and I must have put that in a different package. One of the things that I did after I cut out the rainbows, and I did, they're over here, is I saved the reverse. So let me get one of them out here. I saved the reverse. And it's all I'm doing with the reverse is I'm just kind of using it so that my puddle of water just kind of has some rounded edges and looks a little nicer. So I'll show you what I mean. And to do the water, I used the Stampin' Blends. And can you guys hear all that pounding, or can you just hear me? And I just took the cloud down here along the bottom and used it as kind of a little bit of a stencil. And then since the blends just kind of are a real nice alcohol-based marker, they just kind of work really well. And you can overlap and blend, and that's actually good because then you get you know, different looks to your water, your little puddle. And I just worked my way across the card here. And the reason you have to do the puddle first is because if you tried to do this after you stamped your greeting, it would kind of smudge the greeting. So that's looking kind of puddleish. And let's just kind of round it out down over here. And I don't like that little divot right there, so we're just going to do that. So there's our puddle of water. Now if you want to, you can, you know, kind of, you know, come back with the blender and add a little bit more, make it a little darker if you want. So we have our puddle of water. So we don't need our little cloud stencil anymore. And then the next thing is to get your sentiment in here. Now, I think most of you know, you can hear the pounding. Yes, the pounding is for my stamp room, Jane. That's right. Yeah, Jane says she can take it. I can take it too. Okay, so y'all know I'm really super excited about the Stamparatus coming. And so this is a mini Misty, which I had asked for a Christmas gift. You know, because I really was, you know, wishing we had something like this. But I'm really excited because the Stamparatus is a lot nicer. And I can't wait. Mine's supposed to show up on Tuesday. So the next time you see me stamp, I'm going to be using the Stamparatus. So I've made this card. I kind of practiced a little bit again tonight because this card is a lot more detailed than most of them that I do on a Facebook Live, and you know it's kind of intimidating to be doing this kind of stuff on camera. So especially when you're live, because there's no takebacks or do-overs. Well, I guess you can do-over, but everybody sees it. So but I'm using Bermuda Bay ink for the sentiment, wishing you brighter days. And that kind of ties in with the card base. And then it's also in the background paper. So with my fake Stamparatus that I have right now, my fake Stamparatus that we won't be using after the real one gets here. I'm going to ink up my sentiment here in the Bermuda Bay. And we're going to get our sentiment down here in the bottom of our card. Now, the neat thing about this positioner is if you don't get the ink and the words dark enough, it's in the same spot. You can re-ink it and get, you know, your words on there, and you can fix it. So that's like the super coolest thing. I have and that's how I got my panda so dark too, by the way. I stamped him, you know, double stamped him, made him nice and dark. Okay, so we have our sentiment on there. We don't really need the Stamparatus anymore. That's the only thing we were using it for. So we have that going for us. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and put this on the Bermuda Bay because it's going to be easier to have this on here. Because once you have all of your sequins on here, then you have you know, there's bulk underneath here to get your adhesive on. So I'm going to go ahead and adhere that. because really the only other stamping we're going to do now on the card front is the raindrops. So we'll get this on here. All right, now we will work on our rainbow. So we're just going to put this right here, and I need a new package of sequins opened up because I've gone through a ton of these already. I love these sequins. So I've been using them a lot, and I can understand why sequins are a hot embellishment. They add a lot of color and texture, and they're just really fun. Now, St. Patrick's Day is coming, so you might want to use a rainbow to do something for St. Patrick's Day. I think I haven't played with it, but I was thinking about it today. So we're going to use the Berry Burst and the ones that they called yellow, and I don't know why they didn't call them Daffodil Delight. And we're going to use the Pool Party. Those are the three colors that we're going to use for our rainbow. We could use the Lemon Lime, but I don't know, for some reason I like the yellow better. So, and you know, if you want orange in your rainbow, you could do that too. So let's get those out of the way. So I kind of have a little system set up here. So I have my circle die here, and if you wanted to and you didn't want it to move, you could probably use like a washi tape or something down here across the bottom to kind of hold it in place, but I haven't found it to move around on me too much. So we're just going to take our first sequin, and I usually start in the middle up here at the top and put one down. And then after I get that one down, then I just kind of position there. And what I want is I'm trying to go for 12 of them. So they don't have to be like sitting on top of each other. So I just kind of get it placed, and then I try to get it slid up before I push down. So there we go. Now I can push down. And I just work to each side. So now I've got 3. There's 4. So you can see this is just a guide. So anything that you got that you can work inside the circle, or maybe even outside of a circle, mostly just to get started. And sometimes they get a little sticky and want to, not sticky, I guess, like staticky, and want to stick to your fingers because the top of them don't have anything there. The adhesive is on the back. There we go. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I've got 6. So I'm about halfway done with this color anyway. It works better if I don't get it under my fingernail, actually. So there we have, whoops, I need to rearrange get my circle back in place. So it would be a little easier, I think, but my washi tape, you know, is downstairs in the basement somewhere. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And once you get them placed, you can actually play around with them just a little bit. Since these they're adhesive backed, you can actually kind of, even though the adhesive doesn't necessarily move, you can kind of get the sequin to move a little bit. So, and I'll show you what I mean. So I can kind of get my finger in there and just kind of slide it over and get the spacing, you know, a little bit more to my liking. And it doesn't move a lot, but it does move just enough to kind of get the spacing a little bit better. Okay, so we've got our rainbow, and that looks pretty good. This one could probably get moved out just a little bit. Okay, that looks pretty good. All right, so now we'll start on our row with our yellow. And basically, I just kind of try to get them like straight across on either side, and then your next one actually takes less. Your next color of sequins takes less. So, and I do kind of use this a little bit just to kind of help me. There we go. Oops, and I pulled one off. That one pulled off. I don't know if you can see, but the adhesive stuck to the... See if I can get that back on the sequin. And yep, there we go. So this is it's a little time consuming, but it's not real difficult. It just takes a little bit of time, which is surprising because I know I'm typically playing tiddlywinks with them again. Typically more of a lazy stamper. I don't really like to do a lot of detail cards too much, but I've been kind of on a I don't know, I guess I've been kind of on a detailed kick with my cards lately for some reason. So okay, so I think that's just about right, and we can kind of get these pushed. Yeah, there's just a little bit of like I said, a little bit of give to it once you have it on there, because it's kind of like a glue dot. So you can kind of move the sequin. You're maybe not necessarily moving the adhesive as much as you're moving the sequin on the adhesive. So that looks pretty good. Okay, for the last one, I actually don't use anything. I just kind of use what's already in place. So we have our pool party. Okay, so we have our rainbow there, And you, if you wanted to, you could make your rainbow bigger, but for the sake of this card, in order to get the panda with the umbrella and everything to fit, you can't really make it any bigger. So I'll move those out of the way. Now we're going to go ahead and do our clouds. And how I did the clouds is after I die cut them, I'm going to move these circle dies too, is I just took, and you could probably use just a regular marker for this too, but I really like the blends. They're just kind of a nice smooth marker. And I just kind of outline the edges of the cloud. So like I said, you could stamp them and die cut them, but I wanted it to be right on the edge rather than having, you know, a little white edge around the outside. So that's why I didn't do that. And I wanted the edge to be defined. So even though I'm going to come back and sponge these, this kind of gives it a really nice defined edge to the cloud. Okay, so there we have the edges all defined on our clouds, and we're going to use, and that was the Smoky Slate Light. And we're going to take the Smoky Slate ink pad and a stamping sponge, and we're just going to have our clouds be a little gray. You know, it did just get done raining, or it's raining a little bit with the sunshine, so that's why we got a rainbow. Okay, so there we have our gray clouds, and we will put those up on the ends of our rainbows. Now, what I've done is I'm using the mini Stampin' Dimensionals, so I can have more room with my clouds to kind of only just, you know, slightly cover the ends of the sequins. So you no, Nancy, I think you could pick them up with tweezers. You'd have to be careful to try to make sure you were getting the adhesive at the same time. That's the only thing that I could see, is that maybe picking them up with tweezers, you might pull the sequin right up off of the adhesive, because the adhesive really is pretty much exactly like a glue dot. Okay, so we'll get these little mini dimensionals on here. And get the ends pulled off here. Okay, and I kind of like it with the cloud this way, so that this higher part of this cloud can kind of get up here over the, kind of slightly cover that berry burst sequin. So we have it there, and then we'll get our other cloud over here. There we go. So now we have our clouds. Now what we'll do is we'll place our panda and our umbrella. Okay, so one of the things with the panda, and I don't know if you can see right here, there's the little white line. I'm going to just kind of snip right there. I'm going to follow that line. and I think I got it. So that there's a little slit right there where that white line is on his hand or paw, whatever you call it when it's a panda. Hi, Joanne. So now what we're going to do is go ahead and kind of decide where our panda needs to go, because we have to leave room for our raindrops. We have to be able to see our sentiment, and we have to have room for the umbrella. So I don't really attach anything down right away. So that looks pretty good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and kind of get some, and I'm going to use glue dots for the panda. So I'm going to put just a few of them. Oops. And I think I'll put one more kind of over here by his hand or paw. Okay, so we kind of determined, and I'm going to go ahead and stick the umbrella kind of on here again, that it was going to look best like right around here. But nope, we're going to need to move it over, so I need to, don't want it to stick yet. There we go. I think there we go. So now we got that stuck. So now what we want is to get mini dimensionals behind our umbrella. So we're going to stick one up here at the top. And you could use bigger ones, I guess, but I like the mini ones for this one. So I just place 4 of them right there, just like that. And we'll get the backing off. Down. And then I like to get the paw there and kind of the angle, and I like him to look like he's peeking out from under the umbrella, so that looks pretty good right there. So we'll just let it go down right there. All right, so there we have that. Now we can put our raindrops here. So our raindrops, and I'm going to switch ink pads here, are with Pool Party. And I have the raindrops just on a clear block. And just lightly ink them. Because all we just really need is just kind of just a little hint of the raindrops, because we're going to actually come back and put the glitter and clear epoxy shapes on top of them, and they have these little raindrops in addition to the circles, and so we're going to use those. So we're going to have our raindrops kind of look like they're coming out of that cloud down towards the umbrella. So there's our raindrops. Now, with these raindrops, and even with the circles, but if you're not careful, you'll lose them really easy. So I've kind of been actually just kind of sliding them up to the edge as I use them, kind of get it where I want it, and hold my finger on top of it and just kind of slide that plastic right off so that it just kind of ends up landing where I want it, and I don't lose the little shape And sometimes, you know, I have to kind of adjust it a little bit, but for the most part, it kind of makes, you know, it pretty much gets it right where I want it to be. Especially if I get it right out there to the end and get it right over the, and you can kind of see the ink kind of, because it's almost kind of like a, how things look bigger when you're looking through glass. It kind of has that effect. And I don't know if you can see that on the camera or not. So I'm just going to just keep sliding this to the edge. Place it over that raindrop and just pull the plastic up. That one kind of didn't get right where I wanted it. But we can move it a little bit. Okay. So we got a couple more to do here. I think I need to get that one even closer to the edge yet. There we go. That worked pretty good. So this just little method or trick has kind of helped me to not lose quite so many of them. I don't know if it's the fact that they're epoxy, but they're just slippery little devils. There we go. Now, if you really want to, I have an extra raindrop on this one because I have a little extra spot of Pool Party that I got on there when I stamped my raindrops. So if you get a little extra spot, it's no big deal. You can just make it look like another raindrop. But I also actually, after I did that, kind of liked that. So I'm actually going to put one more in there, even though there isn't a raindrop there. So just because I kind of, after I did it, I was like, oh, you know what? To me, it really looks like there should have been a raindrop there. So get that up there. And there we go. So there we go. What do you guys think? You think you can do it? Hi, Myrna. So, and those of you that were late, you can come back and watch it from the beginning so you can see all the steps, because the steps are important. So, and of course it still needs to be put on a card base. But I'll do that later. So you guys all know how to do that. So, but I thought this would be cute even for St. Patrick's Day. If you wanted to build a rainbow, you might have to make it a little bit bigger and you might need to do it landscape. But I was thinking that it would be really I think I was thinking it would be kind of easy to make a pot of gold. Between the circle dies and the oval dies and the gold foil paper being punched out into like little coin shapes. So I haven't tried it yet, and I don't know if I'll have time because my open house is the 17th. Hi, Alice. And so, and I'm actually leaving for Iowa on the 13th of March. And so, if you haven't RSVP'd, please do. I hope, Myrna, I hope you guys come, you girls from Osage. It would be nice to see you guys. I've got some great make and take planned already. I've got a couple more that I want to put together yet. But of course, since I'm leaving the 13th, I don't have a lot of leeway time. And I'd love to have you come. I haven't seen you guys for a while. So And of course, I know Joy's coming and Joanne is coming. I've had RSVPs from you. So make sure you get your RSVPs in. I think I posted a little bit of a sneak peek of some of the make and take bag already. It's just a little teeny tiny sneak peek because I don't want to give everything away, and a little sneak peek of a card. Oh, Nancy. Okay. I'm sure going out of state is probably more fun anyway. Maybe. But I will miss you. And then, you'll get an opportunity to play with the Stamparatus too, because I'm bringing that with me. So you'll get a chance to see how it works in person and play with it a little bit. So I was thinking of possibly doing a live on March 5th, but I'm going to wait and make sure I've got all my make and take things, and thanks, Joy, done and prepared, because I also am planning to bring, I have Party in a Box for the gals that are doing in my host club, and I want to, Las Vegas, Kevin Chesney, wow. That sounds like fun. And I want to actually bring that with me when I come to Iowa rather than mail it, because it will save me probably about $15 if I just have it ready and bring it with me. So, and that will actually be my April class. And that class I am doing... the Hedgehog stamp set. It doesn't have any dies or anything with it, but it is adorably cute. And this class will actually be available a couple of different ways. You'll be able to get it as a card kit and have it sent to you as far as the cardstock being cut and prepped. So you would end up having to, have your own stamp set and supplies. I'll give you this will actually be on the display board, but that's just a card that will be on the display board. That was with Petal Palette. It will have a slider card. So that will be in the class with, and this is something I don't normally show cards from classes ahead of time. And then there's this one, and the third one isn't designed yet, but I want to use a hedgehog, and I just haven't been able to think of how I want to use them yet. So anyway. But I am really looking forward to seeing everybody that will be able to make it to my open house in March. My display boards are going to be full, and I can't wait. So I'll let you guys go back to whatever you were doing. And if you didn't get a chance to see the beginning, the video will post to Facebook shortly, and you'll be able to watch the beginning and see the assembly of the card from start to finish. So thanks for joining me, you guys. I hope to see most of you at my open house. Bye.